This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it because time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement.
Hey, what's going on, Blueprint Nation? Welcome to another dope episode of the Respect My Blueprint podcast, where we give you the blueprint on how to do shit around here, okay? And today, everyone, we are going to go ahead and talk about something that is well known in our platform, right? Which is personal finance, unlocking generational wealth, financial freedom. And we are going to talk about how you guys can multiply money, but not only that, have financial epiphany. All right. All right. So I'm super excited with my guest today because on this episode, we're going to talk to someone who knows how to make your story sell and your money multiply. So this is definitely an episode, ladies and gentlemen, you want to stay throughout the entire episode. He's worked with the Fortune 15 giant, raised millions for nonprofits, and now he's rewriting the way everyday people look at money through his new and upcoming book, Financial Epiphany. All right. So we are going to learn a lot of great gems today. So I am super excited with my guest today. Let's welcome the storyteller with the money mindset, Scott Yamura. Scott, how you doing today, brother? Did I butcher your last name, by the way? I'm sorry about that.
You're good. Thanks, Wesley, for having me on. I really appreciate you, my friend.
All right, man. All right. Super dope, man. Well, Scott, thank you for joining the Respect My Blueprint show. As you know, a lot of our audience here, this is their love language, what we're about to talk about, money. Financial mindset, how to be able to multiply and make money. So they're super excited with today's show like I am. But before we get into it, all right, let me go ahead and give you an opportunity to go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a quick elevator pitch, your background, history, and anything else we need to know before we get rocking and rolling.
All right, Wesley. Yeah, hey, everybody. Scott Yamura here, author of Financial Epiphany. I'm a communicator. I work at a Fortune 15 company, just like Wesley pointed out, and I communicate for that company to 300,000 employees worldwide on a regular basis. And when I saw that the average earner needed communication on the topic of finances, personal finances, I decided to take what I knew about communicating and take it to the world of personal finance, where I felt like there needed to be a simpler message. And so I went ahead and studied it year after year after year, personal finance, that is, and became a financial coach, a certified financial coach, so I could write this book, Financial Epiphany. Now that the book is recently released, I'm out there sharing the word, getting the message out, trying to make a difference in people's personal finances and take people from a place of analysis paralysis and a lack of action with money to actually jumping on money with effort and vigor and making a difference in their financial life.
Awesome. Well, first of all, that's super dope that you decided to be able to go ahead and undertake this journey and everything like that, so you're still working, with this great company and everything like that, but you decided to go ahead and write your up and coming book, Financial Epiphany, and everything like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of steps there that took. One was I knew it was time to get past the barrier on one of these three things in life. Either I was going to learn how to maintain a house, fix a car, or learn about money. I chose money. I was gonna get past one of those common barriers, and it was money. And when I realized it wasn't so bad, it was actually money is like a sheep, but dressed up in wolf's clothing. It wasn't so bad once I got to know how it actually worked. And I wanted other people to overcome that as well. And that's the other part, is that I kept hearing from folks that I know that there's a struggle. There's a very real struggle. In fact, most people have a struggle with money because we're not taught that. We're not we're not getting the messaging, or we think it's not for us. We think we're an imposter. Like, maybe I'll figure out this someday when I'm older and wiser, or maybe I need to hire somebody, but this isn't for me to understand. I'm not supposed to get this. I definitely want to turn that around. And I realized when I was able to turn that around for myself, I wanted to do that for everybody.
Awesome, man. And you're so right, because and I say this all the time, is very unfortunate how money, financial literacy, even credit literacy, you could all bundle it up, right? But mainly financial literacy is something that's not just taught growing up in the education system, right? A lot of kids, they end up graduating high school having no idea about budgeting, no idea about, retirement, savings, none of these things that is going to end up becoming the most essential, critical tool that they're going to need in life, right? And it's typically they have to go through the school of hard knocks of getting that first credit card, getting that first student loan, getting that first car loan, that first apartment, exercising bad habits and everything like that before they realize, man, I'm in my 30s, I got a kid, I'm trying to buy a house, now I'm in this mountain of debt, I'm trying to get out of it and everything like that, right? So, which I want your opinion, is it, why do you think the system is designed this way? Why do you feel that there's such a lack of the need to be able to educate people more on financial literacy?
Yeah, our great nation is a consumer nation. We're the most advertised and marketed to country on the planet. $400 billion per year, way more than the next runner-up, China. So it's about $1,000 per head or more, even including the babies. And so when that's the main messaging that you get, that's what you're going to do. You normalize it. You think, okay, that's how I'm supposed to live. That's what everybody's doing. And so we're out there and we're spending. I mean, for the most part, for those of us who have jobs, we're making goods and services, and then we're selling it to each other. We just don't know when to stop. We need to tell ourselves a countercultural story. If that's what's normal, right? That's what's normal. I mean, think about it. The housing crisis, the student loan crisis, the retirement crisis. We keep hearing this word crisis, but it's normal. It's normal. Yeah. 78% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. 77% of us are in debt up to around $100,000. And financial literacy is at a low. We're having trouble passing a basic financial literacy test. And so if we're being told spend, 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 that's what we're going to do as normal. So what we're trying to do is get out a message of, hey, actually, you got to save for your future. Otherwise, other people will gladly take your money and then line their pockets with it. So we got to look out for ourselves, because otherwise, once again, people are lining up to take donations from us.
Absolutely. And you hit it right on the head. 3/4 of Americans are living paycheck, no emergency fund. Right. No estate planning, no setup for retirement, anything like that. So we've obviously highlighted the problem. Number one, it's a cultural problem and everything like that. But you've decided to, come up with this book, Financial Epiphany, and you've also broken down a simple framework, for how to multiply money. So if you could go ahead and let's get into the meat and potatoes right now.
Sure.
What are some of the frameworks that you teach within your book to help others to be able to multiply money?
Yeah, so you say simple framework, and there's two parts. So basically, before I get into the 3 rules of thumb or the 3 financial epiphanies, which are these tools, I like to lay down the groundwork first. That's the simple framework. That's like saying, here's what the alphabet is before we start writing poems and writing novels and writing sentences, right?
There you go. Right. Let's give them the blueprint first, right? Obviously.
Yep. Yeah. So the simple framework, I actually like to say it's like a Rubik's Cube. And when I was first faced with my son challenging me to learn this Rubik's Cube, I thought, this isn't for me. Like, I have no idea. I've struggled with trying to figure this thing out for years. I would pick it up off the table, spin it a few times, not figure it out, and put it back down until a year later when I would do the same thing. But I finally learned how to do this thing, and it was via a simple framework. It was learning that you can solve the bottom layer, then the middle layer, and then the top layer. And by having that sort of understanding, it wasn't some sort of multicolored mystery anymore, which there are 43 quintillion combinations. Like, here's 1, there's 2, there's 3. 43 quintillion is a couple sets of zeros and commas above and beyond a trillion. And I was overwhelmed by that. But once I realized solve the bottom, middle, top, and I found a lesson on how to do that, I was able to figure out how to solve this thing. And the same thing is with money, is that there's these 3 aspects of a simple framework to get out there. So once you understand those 3 things, you can proceed with solving money. But we got to do the groundwork. So the first one is, what is the most common age to start a career? Age 22, right out of college for most folks. What is the average duration of a career in the United States? 40 years. Okay, let's lock it down at 40. Could be 39, could be 41. We're going with 40. And what is a average or normal sort of rate of return, maybe even on a conservative side, for investing money in a 401k, IRA, a retirement account, or a brokerage account with stocks and bonds? What's a normal rate of return over the long run? I like to use 7.2%. And you'll see why when we get into the epiphanies. These three numbers, starting work at age 22, working for 40 years, and earning a 7.2% rate of return over the long run, actually allows for the simplest, most empowering understanding on money ever. And once I discovered that, locked down money in those three ways, this simple framework, the rest was just a piece of cake. Understanding money, that is.
Okay, 22, 7.24%. Over a 40-year working year period.
Yeah.
So that right there. But I want to give you a little pushback. Let's be honest here, Scott. Have you tried to educate your typical 22-year-old here 40 years? It's like, we're not talking about when me and you were growing up, right? Where in the industrial age in the early 90s and 80s, where our parents looked for retirement, right? That was the American dream. Work at a job, 40 years, pension, boom. Yeah. With the internet now, there's microwave society where the millionaires are being minted overnight and everything like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel with the society we in right now, it's a little hard to try to push that philosophy that you're sharing right now?
Well, like I said, it's like learning the alphabet. It's the foundation, and I like to jump as quickly ahead, even though that's the groundwork here. Right. I like to, as quickly as possible, knowing what you're saying there, and totally agreeing. We got to get to the juicy stuff. We got to get to the meat of this as quickly as possible. So I actually jumped to that. I want to help people discover their ability to multiply money. We get told that money is it's growing wealth. It's this object. Some of us might be told that you don't talk about money. In fact, when I was growing up, my mom used to say, talking about money is like talking about your underwear. It's a private topic. Yeah. We don't want to be out there boasting about our bank accounts. All right. Thank you, Mom. Mama Murrah. Yeah. We used to call her. But yeah, we don't want to be out there boasting about our bank accounts. But if we're not talking about money, then we're not optimizing it. And we could very well be silently suffering, doing our own thing improperly for a very long time. And so we got to talk about this stuff. So I like to tell people, you're like an athlete. And when you think about an athlete, NFL football players, they're at their prime around 26 years old. Olympic gymnasts, ice skaters, they're in their prime also in about their early 20s. It's very common for us to think, hey, you're the best at this particular sport in your early 20s. And people get that. And they know that if you miss that window when you're in your prime, your skill is going to diminish over time. That's your time to act. And I also like to tell people with money, that is also your time to act. There's a great irony that when we're older, we have less ability to multiply money because of the time factor. But when we're younger, we have this most amazing ability to multiply money, but we don't quite care about it just yet. So I like to tell people, there's a great myth that you can wait till later. Okay, you're going to make more money later. You're going to be promoted later. You'll be older and wiser later. That's when you'll worry about money. Right. No, it's actually the opposite. Money works where the young person can outdo the savvy older version of themselves if you act early. So that's why I tell people it's like being an athlete. And when you understand that, now we're taking something you do understand, which is athletic ability. You're in your prime in your early 20s and it diminishes. Same with money. You're in your prime in your 20s and then it diminishes. Yes, you can certainly keep multiplying money over your lifetime, but most of us miss and do not act with the strength and the vigor that we should when we have much more power and strength to do so. And we'll get into that.
Awesome. And you definitely, now I want to ask you another question. Before we get into the three financial epiphanies that is in your book, let me ask you, why do these epiphanies matter for the most part? Is it, you've mentioned how the earlier you start for the early generation, the better it is, right? Is that one of the things why it matters to have one of these three epiphanies?
Yeah. So we laid down the groundwork, the simple framework we just talked about, how to understand money, kind of spelled out the alphabet.
Right.
And now what we got to do is spell those sentences and start writing poetry and start writing a paragraph with those letters. And the 3 epiphanies are 3 rules of thumb. And when you know these things, you all of a sudden have understanding. You can act with confidence rather than sitting still. You take action. You know your input. Oh, if I put this much money in, then you can calculate your output. Oh, that much is going to be coming out later. And when we know those simple truths and we can calculate them extremely easily in our head, that allows us to take confident action with our finances rather than the big mystery. If you ask somebody, hey, if you put this money in your 401k, you know what's going to happen? The most common answer, I don't know. So how can we make a decision? Yeah. How can we make a decision, and how can we act with the athletic-like vigor that we should in our early 20s if we don't understand it? So these 3 epiphanies allow the everyday earner to get it just enough. And it's simple, and it's a rule of thumb, but to take that sort of action that everybody wishes they had when they're older. Oh, I wish I could go back and do this all over again. Oh, if I knew what I knew now, I would go back in my 20s and do it. That is exactly who we should be listening to, is the folks that are retired that are having regrets or having wishes of going back. That's going to be us later. Why don't we do something about that?
That is so true. We don't want to spoil the book, right? All right.
I let it all out. I want to help as many people as I can without holding it back. All the secrets get told.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's go. If you could share with the audience, a quick elevator pitch of these 3 epiphanies, so therefore that'll give them a good insight on what to look forward to as well.
Yeah, let's equip everybody right now. All right, the 3 financial epiphanies. Financial epiphany number 1. So if we know that people are going to generally invest money in a common vehicle and get a 7.2% rate of return, we know actually that money will double every 10 years. So you put $1,000 in, you don't touch it. 10 years later, it's $2,000. You put in $10,000, 10 years later, it's $20,000, and you're not touching it, because at 7.2%, that's what it's doing. It's doubling the money every 10 years. And that is financial epiphany number 1. It's like having the inch mark on a ruler. We're understanding what the inch is, kind of the smallest calculation, that money can double every 10 years. All right, now moving on to financial epiphany number 2. So if money doubles every 10 years, and we said people work a 40-year career.
40-year, right.
4 sets of 10. Okay, so money is going to double. So $1,000 turns into $2,000. 2,000 doubles into 4,000. 4,000 doubles into 8,000. 8,000 doubles into 16,000 by the end of our career. So now we're getting what's happening every decade if money is doubling. So the input of $1,000 in turns to $16,000 later. Oh my goodness. Now I'm getting the input and the output. And I like to pause right there and say it this way. If somebody worked a week of work and got paid for those 40 hours, that's what you signed up for. Now, if you worked a week of work and your workplace suddenly said, hey, I really like how you did. How about we pay you double? Let's pay you 2 weeks worth of pay. You would be ecstatic. Everybody would be like, oh my goodness, I'm getting paid 100% more. I think it feels good.
We'd have more people in the workforce, right?
You'd have more people getting off the couch, jumping in the office. Yeah. And so with that, that's what doubling money is. Doubling. And I don't want to miss that point there, that doubling money is massive. 100% gain is incredible when it does it all on its own and you're not even working for it. You're just letting the money work on its own. Now get this. Now, what does the power of 16 feel like? That's like working a week of work and getting paid for 4 months. Now, who would turn that down? You would say, I work a week of work and get paid for 4 months. Well, I'm going to work another week of work and get paid 4 months, and another week and get paid 4 months. That's what the power of 16 is like. And so when I tell people you're like an athlete, you have this power of 16 when you start working, I like to explain it that way because that finally clicks. Because before, the big mystery is save early, take advantage of compound interest, and that doesn't have any on it. It's not quantifiable. That's why I like to say Financial Epiphany 1 is like creating an inch mark, but now we can measure what's happening with our money. So now we got the ruler going on with Financial Epiphany number 2, which is we start with the multiplying power of 16 when we start working. And then the final epiphany is Financial Epiphany number 3 describes that every 10 years, our money multiplying power halves. Yeah, that's right. So we start with the power of 16 in our early 20s. And then in our early 30s, it's the power of 8. It just halved. And then in our early 40s, it's the power of 4. And then 50s, power of 2. And then 1, meaning hopefully we're in our 60s, off, retired, on a beach with a cold drink and enjoying the fruits of our labor. But when we understand that our multiplying power halves every 10 years, there's a little bit of a sting there. There's a little bit of sense of urgency that creates the knowledge we need to act now when we realize that our multiplying power halves every 10 years. Knowing these 3 financial epiphanies and putting them together causes understanding. It causes action. People are going to jump right now because they understand they got this multiplying power that diminishes over time. And this is something that you can use over your entire life because it's math, it's numbers, and those aren't going anywhere and we can rely on them.
So the power of 10, so that means if, say the first year I put 1,000 and a decade, it grows to 2. That second, but on that, after that first decade, I put in 10,000, and of course so the point I'm trying to make is emphasizing which your epiphanies you're speaking, the power of compound interest.
Yeah, that's right. And compound interest, it's a banker's term. It's an old term. I like to say that it's about as comfortable as hugging a cash register. It's not something that is very inviting. And so that's why I like to call this the power of 16. That's why I like to call it doubling years. That's why I like to call it having a financial epiphany, because these are words that are warm. They're exciting. I mean, they're like the cover of this book right here, right? This is what it looks like. And that is what money can actually be like: empowering, inviting, and warm and fuzzy and purposeful. And it's not this old black and white thing that we might be afraid of and intimidated by. We can invite the stewardship of money into our lives. And we truly can. Each and every person can own this for themselves. It doesn't have to be where you hire someone else to understand your money for you. You can know the basics. And once you know these basics, you can become savvy later, but know the basics so that you get started, because that's what it takes. It takes action, not just head knowledge. You got to go start your 401k and you got to load that thing up.
Absolutely. And now there've been a lot of predecessors before you, right? There's, Robert Kiyosaki, he taught like the money, the quadrant, rich dad, poor dad, and everything like that, right? And you have Dave Ramsey. He goes into, he morphs like a taxi, anti-credit card. Don't be getting under debt, or anything like that, right? And the other lady, I think it's like a Susie Orman, if I'm not mistaken. Susie Orman, right? So and of course, each have had large success in their approaches and everything. But I like your approach in the sense of you're basically teaching that, hey, money doesn't have to be a taboo topic, right? It doesn't have to be something that you're afraid to talk. Matter of fact, it's something that you'd be more open about. It's something that could be very enlightening. And like you mentioned, the key word, empowering and everything. Do you believe your approach is a lot different, although it's a lot different from the people that I've mentioned? Your approach can open up the gates for a lot more individuals to be able to learn about financial literacy?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I've definitely read books of the folks that you've been mentioning and listened to their videos and podcasts. And that's actually the first financial book I picked up was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And then what got me past thinking money was intimidating was taking Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And Susie Orman, someone I read early on as well. So I believe it is good to get out there and to learn different styles. And there's different voices for different people, right? And so when you're talking about what I'm getting out there, it's for the everyday earner. And so it's simplified, it's creative, and it's empowering. It really is for everybody. It does lean toward the younger crowd, since those are the ones that can do a lot more. They got the power of 16. I got the power of 4. And so I do lean towards the younger workers or middle-aged workers where there's more leverage and time.
Right.
But I think when people, and I definitely would advise people to go out there and hear different messages and choose for themselves, because Dave Ramsey, his plan is getting you out of debt and really, really, focuses on that. And then that's a common situation most people are in.
Method and everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And what my philosophy aims more at is here's this ability. And if you do have this ability, you're going to get out of debt because you have this ability. I mean, think about it this way. Once again, back to the athlete. Let's say the athlete has poor grades. Oh, you can't, you deserve to be the quarterback on the varsity team, but you can't play because you got bad grades. Well, guess what? You're going to start studying because you want to play. And you know, this is your time. This is the time where you got skill and you want to get out there and exercise that gift that you have that's going to go away over time. And so I like to say that, yeah, that's why I like to say you guys, you got the power of 16, you got the power of 8, you got this multiplying power. Now you're going to go figure out your debt problem. Now you're going to go at this thing because you do not want to squander what you have. So it's kind of like being coached. And every single person is like an athlete that has to discover they have this ability before they do something about it. But the first thing is letting them know that they have it because most people are unaware.
So I like how you say that. So technically, this is applicable to anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're making $15 an hour or $100,000 a year, right? Because it's like you said, you're that athlete. You're trying to get that second contract, right? You got that rookie contract. You're in your prime and everything. And you just need to take action and perform. So there's no secret magic. There's no secret formula or anything like that in order to be able to go ahead and be successful in the approach that you're sharing, right?
Yeah. I like to say that these 3 epiphanies work for every age, wage, and stage of life. And because of yeah, you like that? Because of a common issue, a barrier to us all called lifestyle inflation. Make more money, spend more money. Make more money, spend more money. The truth of the matter is what's running under the hood here is every single person at every single income stage actually is in trouble. Even when we make a lot, we spend a lot because of that. So everybody can benefit from knowing their multiplying power because we all have that issue of lifestyle inflation and spending very closely to the money we make, if not more.
So now let me ask you a question. Why do you feel like a lot of people fail to take action? Is it fear? Is it lack of knowledge? Or is it just a culture problem? What are your, because you're sharing, hey, you just need to take action. You learn these principles and you put the action behind it. You can be that 26-year-old prime athlete. Why do a lot of people, instead of being like that prime athlete, they're a couch potato watching reruns of their favorite TV shows?
Yeah, that's right. So if we don't have a plan for our finances, the world has a plan for our finances. Ooh. So just like you point out, what's going to happen first? That's right. What happens first? A credit card is going to start showing up in our mailbox, and then 2, and then 3, and then colleges are going to be coaxing us to come their way and take out a student loan, and then a car, not necessarily one we can pay cash for. Hey, we're being told, just make a payment. Can you afford this per month? And we've been told that so that we can get a more expensive car than we can afford. And then when we're talking about housing, there's something called being house poor, when we overspend to impress others, or just because I think I can afford the monthly payment, we actually become house poor by spending too much on our living quarters. So all these things, they're actually coming for us if we don't have a plan first. And they will snatch us right up and not let our money go if we don't have a plan. We got to be able to say either no or say less, or say, you know what, I can't afford that until I'm paying cash with it. And so we got to have a plan. And the saying is you want to be able to tell your money where to go rather than wonder where it went. And so that takes having a plan up front. And if we don't have that plan, once again, the world will gladly take our money from us.
Man, I love how you framed that. That is so true, because listen, ladies and gentlemen, and especially in the American lifestyle and society that we're in, it will swallow you whole, right? Because, and again, it doesn't matter whether you're making $15 an hour, $100,000 a year, or even $1 million a year, right? We're all programmed and designed to be able to get sucked into this, based or consumer finance society that we're in right now. And I love how you really mentioned that either you make a plan for yourself, or the American lifestyle is going to do so. And I really loved how you shared that, man. I actually got to use that. You said a few things, every age, wage, and stage in you said a few gems that really has stuck in my head here. I love it. I love it. Now, how long have you been working on this book now?
I started studying finance 10 years ago. What I love about my path is, I've been working a regular corporate job in regular corporate America. And so I love that someone that just does work and money, just like everybody else, can actually transform their financial life. My life totally turned around because of this. I became so empowered, and the money, that I realized could be doubled and doubled and doubled again. It created such confidence. And so after studying for 10 years, the book took 3 years to write. 3 years.
3 years. So you put a lot of effort, a lot of knowledge, research, everything into
research, beta readers, running it by people, checking, double checking, triple checking, the editors, fact checkers, everything. This would be the first book I've written. And that's the thing is, get this, Wesley, I was not a book reader. If someone asked me, when's the last book you read? I would have said in college. So... But here you go. In my household with my wife and son, now I'm the reader. I'm the one. I got passionate about this. In fact, I probably read my book 50 just because each time it got edited, I read that thing all the way through. So I'm an avid reader now. And I tell people if the average person spends 78,000 hours per lifetime watching TV, which is somewhere around 9 years of watching TV around the clock, borrow 4 hours from that and read a book. This book takes 4 hours to read. The average nonfiction book takes about 8 hours. But you can just like a rudder on a ship, you can redirect your whole financial life just by reading a book and then taking some action that following week. And just so you know, if we spend 78,000 hours lifetime watching TV, we spend 90,000 hours a lifetime working. And that's about 10 years around the clock. And so you can leverage all of that work. The average person earns about $2 million across a lifetime. You can now leverage all of that. Remember, we're talking about money doubling and doubling and doubling again. And if you can take all those hours of work and all those paychecks and start doubling them over the long run, you're on a good track. Your outcome, your retirement, your purpose in life, I like to call it funding your purpose. There's going to be some money laying around for you to do what you think you're on this planet to do.
Absolutely, man. And the power of doubling. So if it was, and you know what, it's crazy because most people would have thought that you would have come onto the show and have some type of crazy graphs and technical things. It's like, hey, do this and do that. Yeah. But it's really, really straightforward and simple. It's like it's simple formula. But the key thing is that a lot of people don't understand is two things: taking action and having the confidence, because obviously you got to have that mojo to be able to say, okay, I'm going to do this, right? And I believe, like I said, anybody can do it. Which my final question, because you've dropped a lot of great gems, Scott, and if there's one bit of advice, now you've talked about, of course, the 3 epiphanies, doubling your income every 10 years, the power of 4. Now, you also talked about taking action as well too, right? And having confidence. There's one piece of advice you could share with the audience, as far as building their blueprint in order for them to multiply money, especially as majority of our audiences here are aspiring or newly minted entrepreneurs. So this is a very great topic for them. What's that one piece of advice you would go ahead and share with them?
Yeah. So, if I was to leave somebody with anything, just the nuggets, it would be understand the 3 financial epiphanies, that money can double every 10 years, invested money, that you have the power of 16 when you start your career, and that your multiplying power halves every 10 years. And when you do that, now you need to know what to go do. So I've mentioned the 3 primary places to multiply your money are a 401k plan. That's number 1 because of the tax advantages, and then a potential matching by an employer,
right?
An individual retirement account, and that's because there's tax advantages, and then a brokerage account if you are either unable to do the other 2, or you filled those up and reached the maximum you can put in each year, because that also can multiply your money. So that's the action. That's what you need to go do. And what I like to say is just get started, because it's more important to put $100 in, to put $1,000 in, and to get that account started at a discount brokerage firm. You can get online, just search up what some of those are, some popular names you probably heard of, and to just get started, because that's the hardest part. And then from there, over the long run, you decide to put in a little bit. There's someone that I know that retired at 58, and she started her career with $10 a paycheck, putting the money in. And then she did $20, and then she built up. Well, she retired early because she did that from early in her career. And that's what comes later in the long run. You want to be able to look back like the turtle running the race and look back and be like, okay, I took all these steps. Where'd we end up? And I want you to be shocked, and I want you to be surprised, and I want you to be joyful and purposeful with what you have over the long run, because that's the beauty of compound interest. That's the beauty. It's like magic. We think that money grows linearly, like adding money together. It doubles, it multiplies, and that result over the long run, it's surprising. And I want that for all of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for definitely sharing your philosophy, your gems and everything. It's been very enlightening. I'll be honest. That is the key word I want to say, is enlightening, because money for a lot of people is scary. It's scary, right? A lot of people have a 401k, but don't even realize how to maximize its potential. You said that, hey, what are you using your 401k? Oh, I don't know. They just dump it in there, right? Because it's something that their employer offers. But, most people don't even realize that. Like, for example, life insurance most people are afraid of it or don't exercise it because they think the benefits come after you die. But there's a lot of benefits you could take advantage of throughout the term of it. Same thing with, retirement, right? 401k or IRAs or anything like that. Most people are afraid or just don't deal with it because they think it's a post-retirement benefit, versus there's tremendous value that can be extracted throughout the term of it. So, and what you are mentioning is that the same thing. A lot of people don't realize that, hey, through these instruments, through taking action and knowledge, you'll be able to go ahead and educate yourself, and the education will allow you to extract as much value right now versus waiting down the road and everything like that. So I love how you was able to go ahead and break that down for the audience as well too, But before we go ahead and wrap up, I'm pretty sure the audience wants to grab a copy of your book, right? I'm pretty sure they want to be able to go ahead and connect with yourself, as well as, being able to learn more. So how can the audience, get a copy of this book? When is it coming out? Also, how can they connect with you?
Yeah. The book is available on Amazon. Okay. Just search Financial Epiphany. The website for the book is financialepiphany.com. And please go ahead and get on the contact page on the website. And there's a form there to type up a message. And I read every email and I get back to everybody, because this is about helping people on a small scale, one-on-one, and a large scale, those who read the book who I may never be able to meet. And so I'm just out there, and that is my purpose. That is my mission, is to help people with their finances. I struggled with it and got the understanding. I'm so excited that I myself had these realizations, and it's just, my cup is overflowing, and I want other people to have that as well, that understanding as well in their life, and to have a financial future that is as full of joy and peace and purpose.
Awesome, man. Well, Scott, thank you so much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, check out the website, which is going to be on the link within the bio of this show here, guys, the financialepiphany.com. Not often you'll be able to go ahead and email or message the author of a book and know for a fact that they're going to not only read the email, but more than likely get back with you as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, reach out to Scott as what he shared, the insights he gave us on today's show. It is just a small snippet of what you could be able to learn. If I'm Scott, like you say, if you could dedicate 4 hours, you should be able to go cover to cover with this book, and it could be life-changing for you. So I highly encourage you guys to do so. 4 hours of reading a book that could change the rest of your life. I think that's a great trade-off right there. All right. But Scott, thanks for coming onto the platform. We'd definitely love to have you back on the show again, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more people like yourself. We need more people to be able to educate the masses, because you know, there's many things that's important to people's life, right? There's family, there's faith, there's politics and everything. But my opinion, and I'm pretty sure you agree, there's nothing that's more important than your finances, your financial life, right? Because, you know, in order for you to be the best version of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your friends and everything, you need, unfortunately, money to do so. Money just makes the things easier for everybody. But thanks for joining today's show. Guys, you can check out the Respect My Blueprint podcast, where we have dope guests like Scott every week, Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. Check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. And we will love the support of all the viewers as well as the audience out there. But as always, guys, thanks for checking out the platform, and we will catch you on the flip side. Take care. Peace. All right.
This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep, Wesley Paul with Blueprint. His guests are exclusive. Get on and tune in and then learn some new tips about credit, finance, investment. A nice chance to get rich and buy land. Flip it, quick 9 bands. Learn all the skills from Wes, he did it. Learn how to build successful business. Run up a mill and get the digits. Run up a mill. Look, safe place where guests are speaking. Based off financial freedom. All facts, no cap, believe it. Podcast, you have to see it.